Israel was created as the instrument to bring about the Battle of Armageddon and the fulfillment of prophecies, where nuclear weapons will be used so that the American citizens and the other people in the world will get down on their knees and beg for no more war. They're going to be told the only way we can guarantee no more war is if we destroy the sovereignty of nations and we come together as one humanity and one world government. And I'm telling you, unless the American people wake up and stop the Battle of Armageddon and become reality.
That we're going to experience what we've never imagined.
Well, war is just a kiss away. However, it is hump day, so technically it's just a hump away. But who am I? Who am I? I think Aaron agrees with me on that. He's into, well, never mind. Anyways, welcome everybody. Welcome to Real Deal Media's finest here tonight, the #1 late night show, shadow banned throughout the world, scoffed at by the elites, and underestimated by the masses. World at War here tonight. I'm still Dean Ryan. Well, in case you didn't know, if it's the first time, I'm Dean Ryan. Nice to meet you. I'll be your late night host here tonight. As tonight is, well, this is an incredible time to be alive. I don't even know where to begin, where to end, and I don't even know much. Although I know it's a new era or a new Middle East and a new Canada too, which we're going to be talking about here tonight. As well, the historians didn't get it right, but the conspiracy realists did. That's absolutely correct. We're going to be talking about exactly what's going on Trump's tour throughout the Middle East. And it's going to really give a lot of validation, vindication, and, well, just a lot of credence to people that know how to play poker. No limits, Texas Hold'em, as Trump has really proved the critics wrong. We'll be talking about that. The people who are, they're all in on it, still won't be happy, so we can't satisfy them, but it's okay. We need them. They're part of a balanced diet. And others, well, we don't know yet. So we're going to be getting into that. Plus, one of our main attractions here tonight is our very own Aaron Cates, Toronto's favorite son. We're going to be talking about what he has to offer as Canada is underway of a new regime, although it's the old regime. Just don't call it different. Yeah, of Mark Carnage, the Prime Minister, highly blackmailed, highly controllable, and not very family friendly. We'll be talking about that as he brought some of his treasure chest items to share with all of us here tonight. Plus, let me tell you about this. As summer's upon us here, can you tell? It is getting a little not nippy here tonight. Also, a story I wanted to do 2 nights ago, but I'm going to get into more of a thick of it here tonight in our Real Deal International. We're going to talk about what just happened with new refugees from South Africa. You might have remembered we're one of the very few that have covered South Africa in our late night updates over the course of 2025 season here. We'll be talking about just what's underway, and we'll see how the fascist so-called liberal media is covering it as white genocide's a good thing for them. People like Don Lemonhead, he has a thing to say about that tonight. We also have some news coming out of Australia, kind of a continuation story of the miracle jabs and the true data that keeps coming out. I mean, I've been hearing about this true data now for years, but it's now hitting the masses of the lamestream, urine-soaked people still on the government teat of information are now saying, wait a minute, why is turbo cancer just coming up? Why is little Bobby just no longer with us here on the swim team? Yeah, we'll talk about that. And also a story I wanted to do about New Zealand and a huge problem they have there. And if we have time, a story about Antarctica and some real deal pets. But you know how these things go. You just get really in the heat of the moment. Okay, we are broadcasting live now on The Real Dean Ryan over there on Facebook. Yes, we are. Also, we are on Dean Ryan TV over there on YouTube. Yes, we are. Dean Ryan TV. Hello to the Graveyard as well as Rumble. As well as Rumble. And following tonight's show, we will have a members only backstage. And this weekend, crossing fingers, we're doing a fundraiser Saturday at the beach. Yes, I'm going to be a real son of the beach this coming weekend. I'll have more on that. Someone please remind me by the end of tonight to mention that again. Right? So we'll have that. And I think Aaron's a son of the beach too. Right, Aaron? He loves the beach. He's a real beach. Yeah. I hope that was your thumb you were showing me. Okay, so anyways, let's get started with a few headlines from around the world and in your Canadian neck of the woods, shall we? Oh, yes, real deal headlines. How about that? Isn't my penthouse nice? Okay, let's get started here now. As you might have heard, and if you haven't, well, allow me to introduce. As now there's a new reality as a new Middle East is now underway, and it's about damn time, especially if you are a world traveler like myself and you've kind of had a fascination to see and a yearning to see the greater parts of Persia and the Mesopotamia and all of the Middle East in general. But let's talk about what just transpired here in the past 72 hours now. Well, now Trump has now secured a historic $600 billion Saudi investment, expects 2 million U.S. jobs. Now, this is on the heels of what we shared with you just nights ago, that as all of the distractions underway, Saudi Arabia, who has always wanted a pipeline to go and reach the greater part of Europe, but Syria was in the way. Well, now they made a deal, and this is nowhere to be found really, hardly any. They made a deal recently with India to start trading oil without the United States dollar. Do you know how big that is? That is huge. That's like, it's like rolling out the hoverboards and no need for roads anymore. This is a big, big deal. And Kissinger is rolling in his ashes over there, well, down under in hell. But this is big. Let me tell you a bit more about this now, as we have many updates. But this one is a bigger deal because of the sanctions now being released from Syria. And I have some video to go with this, but it goes further than that, because what this does now is he was working behind the back of Netanyahu, and Israel is pissed. Oh, yeah. Israel's pissed. They said, wait a minute, we have one that can see now. We can't have that. But, oh, yes, they can. And now, let me tell you, there's now a new dawn for Syria. As now Trump lifts the sanctions, brokers a historic peace deal with Israel in bold Middle East reset. Well, he made a peace deal with everyone else outside of Israel, because Israel has been acting like who? Ukraine. Like who else? Zelensky. In fact, I'm going to show you a speech now that I have. This is probably one of the best speeches I've heard Donald Trump give in all of his tenure. And it puts everything into perspective that the people of the Middle East, everyday average Joes out there, or average Mohammeds, whoever they go by, are just like all of us. They put their pants on and their hijabs at one leg at a time, and they should be in the control of their own destiny. In fact, why don't we let TJT tell us how it all is?
I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness.
Okay.
Yet I'm here today not merely to condemn the past chaos of Iran's leaders, but to offer them a new path and a much better path toward a far better and more hopeful future. As I've shown repeatedly, I am willing to end past conflicts and forge new partnerships for a better and more stable world, even if our differences may be very profound, which obviously they are in the case of Iran. I have never believed in having permanent enemies. I am different than a lot of people think. I don't like permanent enemies, but sometimes you need enemies to do the job, and you have to do it right. Enemies get you motivated. In fact, some of the closest friends of the United States of America are nations we fought wars against in generations past, and now they're our friends and our allies. And it's crucial for the wider world to note this great transformation has not come from Western interventionists or flying people in beautiful planes giving you lectures on how to live and how to govern your own affairs. No, the gleaming marvels of Riyadh and Abu Dhabi were not created by the so-called nation builders, neocons, or liberal nonprofits like those who spent trillions and trillions of dollars failing to develop Kabul, Baghdad, so many other cities. Instead, the birth of a modern Middle East has been brought by the people of the region themselves, the people that are right here, the people that have lived here all their lives, developing your own sovereign countries, pursuing your own unique visions and charting your own destinies in your own way. It's really incredible what you've done. In the end, the so-called nation builders wrecked far more nations than they built, and the interventionists were intervening in complex societies that they did not even understand themselves. They told you how to do it, but they had no idea how to do it themselves. Peace, prosperity, and progress ultimately came not from a radical rejection of your heritage, but rather from embracing your national traditions and embracing that same heritage that you love so dearly.
I totally apologize. That was an editing action. I don't know what the hell just happened there, but anyways, let me go a little further on this now as we kind of backtrack here. Let's get, what does this really mean? Well, we're talking about new deals, and Trump's all about deals. Well, the historic $600 billion Saudi investment expects 2 million U.S. jobs. He secured this. Yes, it is. It's a commitment to Saudi Arabia, to the U.S. economy, expected to create up to 2 million American jobs. The agreement spans defense, energy, technology, infrastructure, with major U.S. firms like Google, Oracle, Boeing securing lucrative contracts. Record-breaking $142 billion defense package will supply Saudi Arabia with advanced military systems, boosting U.S. defense manufacturing, regional security ties, hence the DoD budget. Tech energy sectors will see massive investments in cross-border technology projects led by U.S. companies. The deal reinforces Trump's America First policy, positioning Saudi Arabia as a key economic strategic ally while driving domestic job growth and innovation. And that's just for starters. Well, and then, yes, of course, this is a new dawn, just to reiterate. Well, a new dawn in a new tune, as now Trump, yes, has declared the end of U.S. sanctions against Syria. all based on a hoax of a gas attack under the Obama regime where people were falling down, looking up, winking, and saying, "Where's the cameras?" "Oh, yes, I'm supposed to be dead." That one. Brutal and crippling. But now Syria, like every country out here, deserves a chance at greatness. The new Syrian president, who is very Al Qaeda, but let's pretend that fact is not a fact at the moment. However, new Syrian president Ahmad al-Shahara, once a U.S. designated terrorist, pledges cooperation with Washington, including counterterrorism efforts and economic reforms, in exchange for sanctions relief. Trump urges Syria to join the Abraham Accords over there, normalize relations with Israel, expel foreign militants. The move follows pressures from Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Gulf states signaling a regional realignment away from Iran and Russia. Critics warn of al-Shira's authoritarian past, but supporters argue engagement could stabilize Syria and counter Iranian enforcements. Now, this all stems back to blinded by the Trump, and Netanyahu's not happy. He's one pissed off Polish guy. Yes, he is. And it all comes back to this. Now, what was going to happen if Trump made unilateral deals with Hamas to release the American hostage, to make deals with Qatar, to receive all these jewels, the Saudis, Syria? Well, you might recall, this is what the defense Israeli foreign minister came out with just yesterday. Quote, unilateral recognition of the Palestinian state will force unilateral actions in response. Oh, isn't that interesting? If that's not a threat, just color me blue and call me silly and stupid. Yes, it is, because something happened because of this, and this was not supposed to go the way that Netanyahu thought. This is a guy, Netanyahu was a man who said, oh, what if Trump was assassinated by Iran? If you don't go and have a war with Iran, you're a coward. He said that in the days leading up to the Trump attempted assassination, which, if you recall, everyone forgot about this little tidbit. One of the shooters, because there's two, the other shooter, who I told you was Mossad, they're going to try to blame Iran. Remember where his signal communications were stemming to and from. That's right, Tel Aviv. No joke about it. So what happened in lieu of all this? Continuing, Latoya Loomer, now she wanted to target Trump. It's exfoliating everybody. Even the big brainiac Mark Levin. Yeah, that little ugly squid. Him too. Well, it goes further now. Now Israel has now voted. This is one of the unilateral staples now that's to follow. They voted to seize control of the West Bank land in a de facto annexation move. Do you know what that means? Annexation means they're grabbing it all. They're grabbing the West Bank. They're going to grab all the rubble in Gaza. Now it makes sense why Trump wanted to take over Gaza, to outbid Bibi, who needs a war to stay out of prosecution. The classic definition of wag the dog. Yes, it is. Wag the dog. And what does that entail? Well, this is what happened just today in the West Bank. Yeah, it's real. It's real.
اه يا حاج
9 صواريخ 9 يا مروان
Yeah, this happened today. The vote to seize control now of the West Bank is underway. Israel's cabinet voted to take full control of the land registration over there in the West Bank, overturning the Oslo Accords policies, accelerating settlement expansion. So-called far-right ministers, Israel Katz and Mr. Smotrich, push the decision, which nullifies Palestinian land rights and violates international law. Once again, the move shifts the temporary Israeli control to permanent annexation, meaning they're going for the gusto. Palestinians face increased disposition with activists warning of unchecked settler seizures, blocked international aid for land documentation. Yeah, there's famine underway. The UN and right groups, the UN who just does nothing, UN and United and name only, and rights groups condemn the decision as illegal, warning it buries prospects for a two-state solution, which as we know, Netanyahu does not want. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Now, as I'm telling you this, now Texas made a bold move today. This is in light of it all, or in the same theme, rather. Texas now halts Islamic epic city amid fears of Sharia law push, as they should. As they should. I mean, have we seen what happened to Dearborn? And we know all of the heretics and extreme elements of Islam, whether it's the Muslim Brotherhood created by MI5, MI6, they're always used to defeat the habeas corpus, the erosions of civil liberties, et cetera, et cetera. Well, now this is what this means. Texas has now halted the construction of a so-called epic city, citing potential legal violations. State and federal agencies launched multiple investigations, including criminal probes, just for starters. Well, now critics warn of the development could impose Sharia law, God forbid, and exclude non-Muslims. I would love to see Sharia law get imposed in Texas. Let's see what happens with that. Let's see what happens with that. Can you imagine that? I'm your Huckleberry. Bring your Sharia law here and make sure you hand over John Brennan in the meanwhile. Now, Texas officials scrutinize local government's ties to the project, and now we kind of have a vision of what happened in the late 80s over there in Minnesota when the Somalis came over to have summer vacation. Yeah, never left. Similar concerns arise over the Colony Ridge and other controversial Texas development. So we see, and we need to find who the politicians are behind these acts of treason, if you ask me. And finally, here's some good news. Anheuser-Busch has now pledged $300 million to boost the United States manufacturing. And who wants a beer just hearing this story? I mean, I've always liked Budweiser. I don't like Bud Light, but yes, this is a big job producer. Huge job producer. But let me tell you a bit more about this now, as this is coming out of Natural News, as you guessed it. Yes, this is happening today as the announcement has just been made as a $300 million investment in the U.S. manufacturing. Huge. From my memory, they were always in South Africa. They moved their plant there about 10, 15 years ago. Now they're going to be expanding facilities, creating jobs, enhanced veteran training programs, reinforcing its commitment to American production and its people and all of our beer guzzlers in this country. Now, the move aligns with federal tariff policies incentivizing domestic manufacturing addresses competition from microbreweries by emphasizing Budweiser American identity, including 2025 summer rebrand. And you'd be hard-pressed to go around the world and go to Portugal, Spain, and the only beer that represents America has always been Budweiser. You go to the Philippines, you go to China, it doesn't matter. The Orient, it's always Budweiser. Now, nearly 10% of its workforce are veterans and military personnel. And I'm all for this. New partnerships aim to translate military skills into manufacturing credentials. Following the backlash of 2023, this is a huge leap forward in the investment back here into America. And a quick shout out, too, before we get to everything Canada, is, you may have seen this if you're in the States. One of the breads I support when I buy bread is Dave's Bread, because it hires people with felonies who get out of prison. They have a hard time getting a job. Well, companies like Dave's Bread and, Budweiser in this case, we applaud that because they give people a chance for their own destiny. Okay, let's now get into some real deal headlines happening in Canada, shall we? Or in this case, some real deal politics. Well, let's talk about the People's Republic of Canada, who are reeling in from a defeat of Pierre Poilievre by Mark Carnage, who has literally squatted over the potential 51st state and took a Canadian S on everybody's hopes, dreams, and aspirations, How are they reeling from this loss? We haven't seen one of the most proponent guys of the Pierre Poilievre crowd since the election day, but he's joining us here tonight. Let's welcome back to the stage the one and only Toronto's favorite son, Inspector Aaron Cates. Aaron, how are you doing? I haven't seen you since
Yeah,
that day.
yeah, I'm good, man. Good evening, ladies and gents. Things are a little crazy here. I was thinking, Dean, we don't have a nickname for Mark Carnage. We have like the Whore of Havana for Trudeau. We need a really solid nickname for Mark Carnage. So maybe we'll get some help from our audience in the next few weeks or something. A really good nickname because we're gonna need it with all the news going on. But welcome to the show, ladies and gents.
Well, we are officially, well, unofficially, I should say, our new nicknames are Sons of the Beaches together. So we share that title together. But Aaron, before we get going really on things here tonight, let's talk about how you put your finger on the pulse of Canadians right now. What is the average Canadian thinking right now? Because that election was weird, man. There was no coverage in America of it. I didn't really see any enthusiasm throughout Canada of that election. It just kind of was, oh, it's Tuesday,
It kind of just happened. The
yeah.
charades, the shenanigans, things just like it just kind of like went and came and gone. So many weird things. Nobody wanted to look at it. There was so much election rigging going on. So much evidence. People, taking bags of ballots to their house. How do you take a bag of ballots to your house as an election official working? That just wouldn't work in the USA. I mean, maybe in 2020, but so many weird things happened. The mainstream media was completely liberal. But yeah, things Canadians are getting really scared, and we just lost a $15 billion. Honda was putting an electric plant on hold that Trudeau had signed up last summer. Ford has moved a whole bunch of jobs back to the United States. The tariffs are really starting to take effect, and Canadians are really scared. I'm on the phone every day. I'm in the mortgage business, guys, 24 years. Every day I'm hearing people cry on the phone how they lost their job or they have so much bills and debts, and just everything is just they're squeezing us from all angles, Dean. But we got lots of intel today, so yeah.
Yes, we do. Okay, we're going to get into it. I was hoping, we covered this last night. I don't know if this is necessarily where you wanted to start, but it's based on my memory. You want to give us an update on the ostriches and what seems to be taking place there, because there's a twist in this, or
Oh yeah, we have
keep
it.
that
No,
for?
let's go in order. Let's go in order because the order that I had. We'll start with the Doug Ford. You have the Doug Ford one, just this little.
I do have we're going to start with Doug Ford, and then we do have an update on the ostriches. And while I'm
Yes,
at
we
this
do.
too, everybody, after the break, if you are in England and listen carefully, I have breaking news for the people of England. For a real deal international, Aaron. It just
Awesome.
crossed my mind. Okay, let's get to it now. This is Doug Ford.
Just a
The
little meme to get started.
Yeah, and I forgot his province again. Please remind us
He's
for
yeah,
all of
he's in
us
Ontario.
who are
He's the premier of
Ontario. That's what I
Ontario for
thought.
where I met
Okay,
in
that's what
Toronto.
I thought.
And
Here it
so
is.
this we got this a couple days ago. Doug Ford, he is saying for everybody a couple days ago, if you get a happy deal or happy meal, all the charity goes to Ronald McDonald's charity, and he's the front leader. I just find it funny that Chris Farley, our premier Doug Ford, is the front runner for McHappy Meals. Does anyone else find that funny? I find that funny. If they can't jab us, they'll just try and kill us through poisoning our food. So he's the leader for our
What?
McHappy Meals. So
Well, he also looks embalmed, like he's dead, and taxidermy got to him
I
there.
think he
Okay, so
just
let's.
came from Hunter Biden's house, but to be honest, but
Well, yes, yeah, Bunter Hyden, he's something else. Okay, so let's go to this next one here as you can follow along at home. If you have your 3D glasses, you can try to play that as well. Okay, so we have another one here. Now, this is Trudeau. Tell us, Aaron, what we are
okay,
seeing right here.
this is Inspector right here. Let me give you the facts. Right now, Alberta and Saskatchewan want to possibly separate from Canada. And one of the reasons is that they're not allowed to export their oil to Quebec. We need pipelines in Quebec. Quebec doesn't want to have pipelines. We're wondering why. Is it all environmental? No. Inspector did some digging. So let me read this. Very interesting facts that everyone should read. This is regarding Trudeau, Quebec, and Trudeau's shutdown of Alberta oil. Before Pierre Elliott Trudeau entered politics, his family owned Champlain Oil and L'Aiguille d'Or, Golden Eagle gas stations in eastern Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia. Sweet crude from Saudi Arabia was shipped to KC Irving refineries in the Maritimes and sold through Trudeau's firm. He had to divest himself of those assets into a blind trust to be in politics. Ships carrying oil from the Middle East still came to Canada and unload at Irving refineries for refining. Gas and fuel oil still flow from the Irving refineries. You're going to have to move down a little bit. Trudeau and Quebec still profit handsomely from a deal. Is that the bottom right there?
Yeah, right there. There it is. Okay.
From the
Yeah,
deal.
without a doubt. Family portfolio, Eastern Canada, clearly bringing oil from Alberta. So they want to punish Alberta. That's kind of the sentiment
Yeah,
I'm
so
getting it
so
because
this is
they're like the Texas. Go ahead, Aaron.
they're stopping the oil because they're saying it's environment in Quebec on the eastern side. But really now, if you start digging it, this I just sent to a few different people in the Patriot movement, and they were really shocked to see this. They're putting the connections, and almost everybody agreed with this particular statement. So Inspector K found this particular statement. I find it very interesting that this is one of the reasons that Alberta wants to separate because of this particular conflict. So is it an environmental conflict or is it a political conflict for someone to gain with monetary reasons behind it? The
Now,
horror of Havana is at it again in the shadows.
now let's talk about Quebec here because I've always been just I
Boom.
find it very fascinating that Quebec, it's such a mysterious part of Canada. It's like so removed from the common Canadians that I've
Yeah.
got to I've encountered throughout my life. What is now? Where do we see Quebec on the spectrum here in the Mark Carnage era of administrations here?
Well, Alberta is like the engine. Well, I'll start with this. They're sort of like the engine that could. They're the ones that bring in a multi-billion dollars to the Canadian economy and the GDP through oil and resources. Quebec kind of is not really developing a whole lot these days. They're kind of sitting around and collecting equal access to all the funds that each province receives. So, Alberta wants to do more. They want to expand their resources, and they don't want to. Quebec doesn't want to do the pipelines. So what happened recently, this is with the election in Quebec, there was a riding that was, they did a recount because it was less than, I think, 100 votes. So the recount switched from Quebecois, the party of Quebecois, to Liberal, and the Liberals won by one vote in this recount. Then the next day, which was today, I believe, that there was a single vote that was found in the mail, and that should have been Quebecois. And it was mailed from Canada Post, who put the wrong postal code on it. And that's why the Quebec elections never received it in the mail. So based on an error, it should be an even vote and a recount done in front of TV and in front of everybody for everybody to see. But behind the scenes, this means that Quebec loses this riding and it goes to the Liberal Party. Liberal Party goes from 169 MPs to 170. And they need 172, two more, and they get a full majority in the parliament, which means they can just pass any law. So look how important this one election is. There's a few more other by-elections where it's less than 1,000 or 100 votes that they want recounts. And they did this recount, and it flipped from Quebecois to Liberal. And what are the chances, Dean? The Liberals won by one vote in the recount. Has that ever been done in the history of world politics? Even if you were faking it, one vote, and then this one vote comes in later in the mail, that's for Quebecois, it should be a tie and a recount completely done. This thing is so rigged, Dean. If you don't see it, you're just a moron. Like, honestly, you're a libtard. I'm going to say it from mouth to the south. You're just a libtard. Like, one vote, that's how they won the Liberals in that riding. So that's...
Well, here's another one we have here. We have... Now, this one here, this is, let's talk about the Dominion voting, something that Aaron famously uncovered. How many years ago was that, Aaron? Now, was that 3 years ago now?
That was 2020, 2022, I think. So that was like 3 years almost, Dean.
Okay,
yeah. 3 years?
Yeah, here it is. Okay.
Tell
us about
So check this out. So I'm surfing the web, and there's a few different people I speak to, and this guy identified that deploy Dominion. They're saying that there's no machine tabulators originally in the Elections Canada, but we're finding out that electronic vote tabulars are 31% of 75,000 Canadian polling stations concentrated in urban centers. These companies have a history of being involved in election fraud, rigging, and vote flipping. And this is found out. I don't know if you can go further down.
Yes.
There's a little spot there. And then how many of the 75 polls used electronic tabulators and from which companies? Agent Mockingbird. Dominion and ES systems were deployed at approximately 31% of Canadian polling stations concentrated in urban centers. Now here's the kicker, Dean. This is like I'm going on, just surfing and adding comments, and every time I made a comment, the comments were really a little bit weird and forceful coming back. Wow, Dominion machines, that doesn't exist, and they're no good, and it was a totally legit election. And I go and I look at the profile. Profile was just made like 2 days ago. The profile is like a woman in like Eastern Canada and has like 10 friends. And all of a sudden I get another one that pops up and another one that keeps adding. So we talked about China had foreign interference. If you go to the other guy, they're still interfering, guys. They're trying to do the cover up online, and they are hitting us hard. I didn't know that, these were not Canadians. Here's Mario Zelaya. He's another really amazing podcaster. The liberal bot farms are raging today. I've seen some posts with small accounts to be for a matter of a few minutes, hundreds of views of 50% ratios, likes to views, the dumbest content. I think I know where the extra 150 million went to CBC and other agencies went towards. So that's from Mario. He's got thousands and thousands of viewers and so forth. But I'm just trying to show you the evidence. The foreign interference is still happening. It takes Inspector Cates, an independent citizen, to see this. Elections Canada already came out and said, here's my point. So just to point out, folks, Lisa's busted China bot with spring rolls on her face. All the 132 likes that she has against my comment. Don't believe everything you hear or see. We are under attack via China.
Oh wait, that's you.
That's me. I called this girl Lisa is a China bot, and I'm just calling her out. She sits behind her desk and she's translating, and they have like a million TV screens and this and that. This girl Lisa, and there's other people there too, are trying to say I'm an idiot for saying there's no Dominion machines or it wasn't rigged or this or that. China is completely attacking us with even though Mark Carnage has already won the election. It's continuous. So I'm just proving it to you guys.
So that's Aaron, and what Aaron doesn't know, that's my sock puppet, Lisa Vallon. He doesn't know. I never told him, but I'm telling you.
Look, it's conspiracy theories. Yeah. They're saying China's really going all out on us, guys. We're under attack. You can see all the bots here.
Look at Aaron, Aaron busting out the spring roll talk already. Look at that.
Put some spring rolls all over her face. I'm so mad about this election.
Somebody had the munchies when they were doing that little post there. Okay, here's another one here. Here's ex-wife of Islamic jihadist warns of Mark Carnage using violent Muslims as pawns to dismantle Canadians' way of life. I could not agree more to that, Aaron. Let me tell you, this goes into what I was saying. If the fringes of these religions, no matter what part of the world, these violent extremist types are always controlled by the government. Even the Antifas here and domestically in the United States, they're like the sons of the FBI agents and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So go ahead, Aaron, tell us more.
Yeah, take a minute back when you see these Gazanian riots everywhere, this or that. I'm not so that so many people just have it all in their heart these days. Nobody has it in their heart. Nobody's looking to do good deeds for somebody these days. So you see all these people rioting in the street, this and that. These people with their masks. If you have a mask, you're for sure getting paid because you're hiding your face. You're not there for the cause. You're there to hide, and you must be hiding something. That means you're hiding your bank account. You're getting paid. All these people are getting paid for NGOs, and our government's sponsoring all these people who hate Western values. They're coming here, and they're coming here because they want to take over. That's in their blood, to take over.
They use them for the communist revolution. Let's add to that. When we saw the Australians marching in the streets, what was it, a year ago, Aaron? Maybe 2 years ago, and then all these like cops that were Chinese came out of nowhere. And then we know in 2020, during our riots here in the United States, there was PLA, People's Liberation Army guys in, mask. That's why they want masks to come back, because they were Chinese, not even Muslim or Canadian. This is what's going on. This is the kabuki theater on steroids and PCP happening right now, Aaron. So
and there's communist flags too. The Arm and Hammer. I remember it's downtown Toronto, Midtown, and I was going to meet a client, and I saw a huge.
Aaron,
BLM,
we have to be careful. Arm and Hammer's baking soda. I think you mean Hammer and Sickle.
Hammer and Sickle. Arm and Hammer. Well, it's good stuff. Keep it in the fridge, guys. It's
those
a late
damn
night for
Arm
me.
and
I
those
got it
damn
started now.
Arm and Hammer and those Dove soap people are terrible.
Hey,
Don't get
Dean,
me
you got
started
the
in the
gist
Irish
of it.
Spring.
You know what
We
I
do.
meant.
We should, yeah. If we say we do, let's just pretend we do. Okay, what's going on
Okay,
here?
so guys, you want a good stock? I would take Brookfield Asset Management. Do you remember what Brookfield Asset Management is, Dean? You remember who
Tell
that
me.
is? It's Mark Carney's business where he's at Blind Trust. That's his main. He was the CEO for Brookfield Asset Management, which is a global corporation, multi-billion-dollar firm. They took a $250 million loan from CCP just before he became the Prime Minister of Canada. If you check his stock the last couple of weeks, oh, it's booming, guys. Just you know what? I'm going straight out, Inspector K. If you want to buy Brookfield Asset Management, he's not going to tank his stock. He's the PM right now. It's been booming. So here's a stock for you guys. It's in the US on the Dow Jones. Look at that. Ever since oh, sorry, I did a
Oh,
last couple months it
oops.
was going up. So okay.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Okay.
just thought
Yeah.
I'd
Let me
point
get
it
back to
out.
that.
When you have a prime
Yeah. Okay.
minister, he's
Thank
going to
you.
do policies for his stock. It's perfect. No conflict of
Okay.
interest here. Nothing to see.
Let's try that one more time. We do have a toggle switch that's gone rogue on us here. Okay, so there we have that one. Okay, finally here, let's talk about what I was teasing earlier.
Right. Yeah.
Um, Start us from the beginning of the ostrich phenomenon in Canada, Aaron.
I'm
For
learning
those who
so
may not
much,
be
man.
okay, for those who may not be familiar with the matter, tell us about the ostriches, and then if you don't know, uh, the ostrich steaks here in America kind of became a thing about 15 years ago. You would see that in wine country, Solvang over here in California, ostrich eggs, if you don't know. And, so ostriches are used
Yeah.
more than just, a wonderful game of croquet with the Swiss Family Robinson. So tell us a bit
Yeah.
more about this. Give us some
Okay. Wow.
background, Aaron, if you could.
Okay, so we got to go back, I guess, about 6 months. They got this farm in British Columbia. I think it's called Edgewood, British Columbia. They have 400 ostriches, really beautiful birds. And even before this, our health minister, Dr. Tam, was on a phone call, a Zoom phone call that got leaked, that she was talking about starting avian flu. So two of these birds, I think, tested positive. But you know how they tested them, Dean? They used the PCR test, and you can find anything on those. So they didn't test all of the birds; they just tested these two. Meanwhile, the courts went back and forth. They said they wanted to kill all the birds about 6 months ago. Then they stopped it, and then yesterday they got a thing from the court after the lady and the farmers have been doing all these podcasts that as of today that all these birds are to be culled, and these birds are completely healthy now, 6 months. And the thing about ostriches, which I'm learning, is that they're able to adapt through all kinds of viruses. They actually live like 70, 80 years, almost like a human. One of the other things that I'm learning is that the ostrich eggs has so many amazing things and antibodies that are produced there. But the main thing about this farm is that it's connected to Japanese professor who's been studying the antibodies in ostrich eggs, which I'm not a doctor, Dean. I'm just telling you what I'm learning and from when I'm putting the inspector puzzle pieces together. So
Aaron,
this is
you
about big
fooled me.
pharma
You fooled me.
taking down this beautiful farm of ostriches because they're testing the antibodies that it can fight
Yeah.
COVID. The bat who loved us, it can also fight avian flu. And once you shut these ostriches down and you get rid of the evidence, then all of a sudden, they win. They can continue with their plan. But here's the evidence. And the other thing about killing these birds, they went to some gun owners to try and kill them. The gun owner said, "No, we're not going to do that for you." And in fact, it's illegal. These birds are fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So our government is trying to control the farmers, and you're going to see this. A lot of people are speaking out. There's a video there. If you have a second to play that video, it's the last one, I think.
So, okay,
Oh, or continue.
let
There's
me
two more other clips there. There's two more other
got it.
little articles.
Let me try to get that. So this is just to reiterate. So you had farmers who said, or excuse me, guys with guns that said they're not going to kill the ostrich, and this is what they're trying to do across the world. They're trying to do callings of all birds right now. And we
Yeah,
love ostriches. We don't want to see anything happen to them or llamas or emus or any of these people.
camos. Yeah,
Here, yeah, camels
I don't know if
or
camels are birds, but
no, they're
not
not.
birds, but
But
yeah. But they're all like
A- A-
exotic. Let's put it that way. They're all exotic.
Aaron's the bird doctor here tonight.
I'm the
If you
bird
didn't
man.
notice. Okay,
So this
here's
is going
BC
back
Ostrich Farm. There it is. Yeah, he ain't joking.
2021. Look at that,
Oh, wow.
2021.
Good find. Going to be a
So this
game
has been
changer.
going on. They're looking into seeing if these ostrich eggs can actually cure.
Oh, and
like,
Aaron,
bladder
tell
lung
people
dust
who
and
this
other
is.
things.
Tell
This
people
is
who this wench is. Who's
Dr.
this
Tam,
wench?
and she's a he, tranny, Satan, Grim Reaper, CCP.
Jackie Chan.
You probably wouldn't want to be close to her at a bar. She might like put something in your drink or something. But definitely keep away from her.
I thought he was good in Mortal Kombat. That one character. Okay, so let's go to another one here.
Yeah.
So here's another one. Finally, here. You said you have a video. I don't know if we have that lined up, but we'll try to get.
It'd be so amazing if you have that video.
Okay, so. Okay, let me see if we can have this. This is coming out of Facebook. Reels, I suppose they're keeping it real.
This is the one. This is a really good one.
Okay, what are we? Why don't you set us up here? What are we seeing here, Aaron?
Okay, so this is the gentleman. He does a lot of podcasts. He's in the U.S. and he's recognized that this ostrich farm is much bigger than just an ostrich farm. It's not just a farm. It actually has something to do that could really make a natural, solution to so many different viruses. And no wonder Big Pharma wants to shut it down. Actually, you know what? Justin Trudeau's brother actually commented just before I came on the show. And I want to read you his comments because he also made a comment about this farm is getting really like notice. So Kyle Kemper, Justin Trudeau's half brother, he said, "Whoa, the ostriches are at the Universal Farms are not even used for human consumption. Instead, they're crucial to a groundbreaking collaboration with Japan's Kyoto Prefectural University. Through the partnership, scientists and the university president, Dr. Yoshiro Tsumoto, have been successfully extracting antibodies from the bird's robust eggs in an effort to further inventions to the avian flu that's supposedly the reason for ordering the killing of the birds and the millions upon millions of them like them. But such progress doesn't align with the $590 million grant Moderna just received to develop mRNA miracles for bird flu, does it?" That's from Kyle Kemper. If you're able to get that video, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a video.
Okay.
Here's a video per request of Aaron Cates, the bird whisperer, the ostrich whisperer. Here we go.
Is trying to fuck over the entire world on behalf of Big Pharma, and it involves killing ostriches. This is fucking crazy, but you need to fucking hear this. This is incredibly important.
Okay, Aaron, I don't know if you fucking realize that.
I'm so sorry. I forgot about the language.
This is what gets us even more censorship. If you could please try to. Maybe you just tell us what the video is about, please.
Okay. Everything that I basically said, I actually explained it pretty well about the antibodies with the ostrich farm. It's not a normal ostrich farm. He just got into a little bit few extra particulars, but I pretty much this is big. We have people right now waiting for RCMP or other agencies that are possibly going to do come and do their thing. But this is illegal. This is an attack on our farmers and the Canadian patriots. We know that this is just not right. It's not correct. They didn't sample all the birds, and the way they sampled was incorrect. So we have to ask, why are they doing this with corrupt judges, corrupt court system? We've seen how the court system treats patriots, shutting down their bank accounts without a trial. So we see how the elections being run.
Aaron, too, if I may add, too, is how we're taking on Big Pharma here. I think what we're talking about is this goes beyond just ostriches. This goes about the corruption of big agro and the attack on farmers worldwide. And we need to stand with our farmers, like in Iowa, in Canada. They need our prayers and thoughts and all that, but we need to physically stand with our farmers because they are our last buffers of health for all of us out here in the real world. So This is a
And
big
what did
story.
Stalin and Mao do? They to starve the people. They killed millions and millions of people by starving them, and there was no reason for it. They shut down the farmers. They shut down the crops. They killed, all the cows and the animals. And that's basically what we're doing. If you can't see the Marxism that's really slowly in history repeating itself, slowly creeping in, death by 1,000 cuts. We need our American friends. We got to share this. Do everything you can. Like, I mean, I don't know much about ostriches. I've never been on one. I don't know
You
anything about
fooled
these
me.
birds.
You fooled
But
me.
I learned a lot in the past week, and I feel bad for these farmers. They did nothing wrong. The farm is actually like an hour away or an hour and a half away from the closest town. It's not near anyone. No one's going to get hurt. They're doing this for nefarious reasons, and I need you guys to share this out there and reach out and do everything you can, because if it's not this farm, they're going to be coming after the next farm and a farm near you. And this has to stop. They have too much control, too much outreach. So,
Aaron
yeah,
Cates, the
crazy
Bird
stuff.
Whisperer, everybody. The Bird Whisperer. You can catch his crusade right here every week, right here on World at War. Aaron, thank you. And let's save the farmers. Yes, let's save the ostriches, but let's stand in unity with our farmers. Aaron Cates.
Let's
everybody.
do it. Thanks, guys. Good night, everyone.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Good night to you. Okay, there you
Awesome.
have it. And ladies and gentlemen, what that is just astounding to me. I don't even know where to go, but we have a hard break coming up here. When we get back, I'm going to open up the lines, or at least attempt to, as we got a long way to go, still in a not so short time to get there still. When we get back here on the other side here, we're going to get into the Real Deal International, which I cannot wait for. No, I can't. Nor can I wait for that cold beer following tonight's show. We're going to talk about South Africa a little bit, all the refugees coming back. We're going to get into Australia and all of its malfeasance of their death minister, as well as ground zero, in my view, of the pandemic, the original chapter of New Zealand and what's happening there. Notice all the countries that are closest to Antarctica are in question for a reason, and we're going to talk about that here tonight. Antarctica is coming up, a very popular topic every time we cover it. So you're watching World at War, the #1 late night show in the world, who is transitioning with the times and defeating our enemies and inspiring our allies. Stand by.
You don't see many wild stallions anymore. No, you don't see many wild stallions anymore. And even if he did run off 3 of your best mares, he's one of the last of a wild and very singular breed. Come to where the flavor is. Come to Marlboro country.
watching World at War with Dean Ryan, weeknights, 10 p.m. Eastern, only on Real Deal Media.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. I am still Dean Ryan, your cruise director here tonight, cruising with you into midnight and beyond, around the world, all around the world. Yes, that's true. As tonight is brought to you by, sponsored by you out there, as we're transitioning into the new festive, the Year of the Dragon, they say over there in the Far East, or as Aaron calls it, the home of spring rolls. Yes, you could participate, contribute to the future, pave the way as the glitter turns into gold by going to givesendgo.com/realdealgo. Your donation fuels the operation. That's what we know for now. Yes, and okay, thank you very much. That's very fine. Also, yeah, if you're new, yeah, we are here weeknights, usually Monday through Thursday. Speaking of which, tomorrow night will be a Real Deal Media Live. Have a little panel here, open it up, if you know what I'm saying. We have a lot of people watching around the world. Yes, we do. And I will address that shortly after our Real Deal International. Speaking of which, we have a lot to get to with that. Let's get to our Real Deal Internationals, and let's take the damn Concorde getting there, shall we? I think we shall. Anytime. Well, this is a story I wanted to cover for quite some time now, as we have been one of the few out there monitoring the genocide happening in South Africa. Yes, we have. So now we have South African refugees coming to the U.S. And of course, the lamestream urine-soaked media is poo-pooing the entire idea, concept, and thought of actually having refugees who are having genocidal situations happen. It's unbelievable to really put it straight, but rather than me trying to tap dance around what they mean by it, here is a little video by the so-called news industry itself, the urine-soaked lamestream media, as NBC tries to put a spin on it. And of course, it all leads back to Donald Trump, because that's who their target is. One man with courage makes a majority in their eyes. Here it is.
As refugees at Dulles Airport outside Washington today on a plane chartered by the State Department, a process that usually takes years, greeted by a top-ranking U.S. diplomat.
Welcome. Welcome to the United States of America.
And this from President Trump.
It's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about, but it's a terrible thing that's taking place, and farmers are being killed. They happen to be white. But whether they're white or black makes no difference to me.
The president signed an executive order in February calling them victims of unjust racial discrimination from the country's black majority, something the South African government vigorously denies. While today the administration also canceled temporary refugee status for as many as 14,000 Afghans already in the U.S., including many who served alongside the U.S. in the war. All face persecution from the Taliban if they are forced to go back. Veterans groups reacting. How do American veterans of the war in Afghanistan feel about the way their Afghan interpreters and...
Okay, let's pause it right there. Let's pause it. Okay, so here you have Alan Greenspan's alleged wife on the left, and here's the NBC lackey. So rather than trying to talk about the plight of the South Africans and just the fact that they're Anglo-Saxon, they're totally leapfrogging over that and making this about Afghanistan. Do we see the confines and the confusion and the mind control being placed on Americans? America is the most propagandized country in the world. And the confusion and the propaganda is to get you to give up, surrender, or move right along, or as Winston Churchill called it, grin and bear it. You see that? And it just pisses me off that here we are trying to help people who are enduring genocide. And Alan Greenspan, that little troll from under a bridge on the left, the wife here, in case you forgot, sorry to show you again. She's like, look at this, look at that face. Oh, it's like she smelt it, she dealt it, and she's so sick of it. Well, someone needs to pull her wig off, that little hag. We're not going to take it from them anymore. Anyways, that's what's happening now. Check this out. In addition to that, here we have the African National Congress. Let me read this for you for the vision impaired, because it's very impaired. African National Congress rejects the falsehood of Afrikaner refugees. Yes, they do. The African National Congress registers its firm rejection of the United States government's decision to grant refugee status for 49 individuals self-identifying as Afrikaners, including, a lot. Let it be categorically stated that there are no Afrikaner refugees in South Africa. Said they're not even recognized. Geez, where have we heard this before? Someone say Gaza? Continuing, no section of our society is hounded, persecuted, or subject to ethnic victimization. Another lie. These claims are fabrication and cowardly politically construct designed to delegitimize our democracy, where it's two Africans and a wolf deciding who they're going to genocide for tonight. Sacrifices made by generations who fought for it. So you get it. So what this entails is you have South Africa, who had a brutal regime by the British take over and colonize South Africa, the British, then caused friction and genocide of their own flavors, and then hand over the whole damn thing to Nelson Mandela. Isn't that amazing? And nobody talks about it. Nelson Mandela is revered as just the humanitarian, like Mother Teresa, but they seem to forget he was part of a huge communist party that is now still in play and causing the genocidal. We're talking farmers getting chopped up, beheaded by the South African state-sponsored rebels out there, just like we see what's happening in Congo right now. Africa is a mess, but it's not the mess created by the people you think it is, because China's behind this too. China's land grabbing all over the world, especially in the past 5 years, as Ranger Buck said last night. They made a deal with Israel to make the mRNAs a form of mind control on the world because everyone has the nanotech in them. However, now that I said that, when you hear about ISIS, ISIS is not just a Muslim-funded ideology and just group of maniacs. No, they're terrorists for hire. And you'd be crazy to think if this country, America, hasn't done it. Well, so does China. And that's the true free market, and the black market too, no pun intended, but nobody's talking about this. And thank God people like us and all of you out there, and even reverends are talking about it with the fortitude to do so. In fact, you may remember the long-legged Mac Daddy Observer Reverend. He talks about it too.
There's not one monument in Africa, in all of Africa. I know you're talking about Egypt. Egypt is not Africa. There are no great cities that were built. Even before the first colonization of white people coming to the shores of Africa or the slave ships, black men built nothing. No sewer system, no houses above one level, and none of them made out of stone. All of them made out of grass and wood. Black men, before the white man ever got to Africa. The worst thing that could ever happen to South Africa was when they gave it to Nelson Mandela and black folk. That was a great nation. Now, notwithstanding apartheid was wrong, we all know it's wrong. I'm against it. There should have been some other resolution, though, than turning it over to Nelson Mandela. Disease, AIDS, and crime is running wild in Johannesburg. They're killing one another over there. They're dying of sickness. The government is mismanaged. The people who ran the nation are now leaving the nation because black folk don't know how to run no nation. They don't know how, and we need to admit it. I know you don't like it, but you need to stop shucking and jiving. We got a problem.
Yeah, stop shucking and jiving. And let me just, if you don't understand Africa, since I got involved in helping and saving Congo with James Martinez here, what I came to realize, and same with James, is that the cultural and outlook of the average kind of Afrikaner in the continent, there's no long game. There's no vision of, okay, if we invest or plant this now, 6 months, 12 months from now, we're going to have the riches. It's everything's now. Now, what is good for me now, we'll deal with tomorrow, because a lot of that stems from the lifespan of the average, adult over there is not very long. So there's not a lot of planning. Therefore, when you have a very destabilized country, and that's where a lot of the mind control of just give up. Hey, I hate politics too, but if you don't do politics, politics does you. So everyone gives up. Then you destabilize a country. Then you have a superpower that comes in like China, and these proxy figures with the same identity and racial makeup to then take over, kill you. They're beheading Christians right now throughout Congo, throughout South Africa. And that's why destabilization of a country, getting everybody to bicker and fight and hate each other, is the globalist communist manifesto, chapter 1. And that's how you really sum up Africa. And I'll tell you, at some point, there's an Elon Musk factor in this, and it's quite disturbing. Quite disturbing. But you know what else is disturbing? The land down under. Let's get to Australia here as we continue our forge ahead on the Concorde. As now it's time. The time has come as the midnight oil burns. We've got to give the land back, but not so fast now. As Australia's miracle jab cover-up, 35 died same day as the miracle jab shot, but authorities ignored them. See, it's all coming out now. Everybody's a Monday morning quarterback. Everybody is a retrospective professor. When we were just an active observer telling you what's happening now and what's going to happen down the road. But no, we're crazy. But you know what? We're only going to survive if we're just a little bit crazy, to quote Seal. Now, check this out now. 35 Australians died the same day as they received the miracle jab. It's all now coming out as they build the case now. If you can smell the winds of the not the Bilderberg, but the genocide trials. That's right. Somebody help me out there. I have too much mercury in my brain. You know what I'm talking about. It'll come to me. So yes, they died, but the TGA completed the casualty assessments, and for only 24 of them. Now, not a single day has gone by, they're saying. Not a single day. Not a single day zero death was referred to in the Miracle Jab Safety Investigation Group. Yeah, they were all shilling. They were all shilling in Australia. It all started in New Zealand too, which we're getting to next. Now, the TGA over there, that's what they call it, admits they never ruled out a connection for the vast majority of the reported deaths, but they hid something. Yes, they did. Autopsies often failed to provide answers, they're now saying, with deaths labeled as, quote, unascertained natural causes. So if you died in Australia, if your grandma, your mom, or if you complied and got a miracle jab in Australia due to your work, and your coworker, John Doe, or Mick Dundee, if he died, well, guess what they labeled that death in Australia? A highly corrupt continent. It was labeled as a unascertained natural cause, meaning he died naturally, nothing to see here. Don't ask questions, or we'll get the Chinese to shoot you. So this was happening then. It's still happening now. And if Australians are watching this, you may remember that big stadium that they put all the youth and the kids in. How many years ago was that? And everybody was like, Miracle Jab Day. They had Kylie Minogue show up. They had Natalie Imbruglia. They had the NXS people. It was just like, yeah, let's celebrate. Everyone get the miracle jabs out. And they never told the truth in the public about all those kids that were just passing out. They were just quickly covering up like it was a Jim Jones experiment of drinking the punch. And parents said, hey, where are you taking my daughter? Where are you taking my kid? They were just rolling them all out. Who remembers that over there in Australia? Place I've been going to back and forth since I was 5 years old. A continent, a country that says the best day of the week is tomorrow. Laid back. And that's how they got you. the more decadent, the more laissez-faire, the more coastal your society, your country is, the greater the infiltration and the easier the control was for the global planners of this. Now get this, just to top it all off here, as we were talking about the unascertained natural causes, and you could implement everything here and put it in your local health ministry record keeping over there in whatever country you are and apply it to that, because it's the same damn thing, especially in the Commonwealth. Now, a federal compensation scheme has now, get this, rejected 91.6% of claims, leaving thousands of Australians injured without any recourse. Yeah, there was a very small window. Same here in the United States. Same, even worse in England. I think in Canada too. That if you wanted some kind of recourse compensation, you had a very slim window to do that, and it was very quiet and hush, 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 hush. I'm telling you, we talk about England and Canada a lot here, but Australia, I used to talk about a lot 3-4 years ago. I remember Dan Andrews and all these people. It is so wicked in Australia. It's the home of like the pedo class. Ask Nicole Kidman, she'll tell you. Ask her about her father too. It's never too soon. The bigger the dumbs underground, the more corruption on top of the ground. It just really gets me. Now continuing as we go to New Zealand and we do some island hopping. Well, here it is. Now, get this. New Zealand grapples with the uncertain future as record numbers of New Zealanders are leaving. Are they leaving, or are they just unascertained disappearing of just natural causes? See, this is what we got to ask ourselves around here, because these people are not telling us the truth, so we got to beat it out of them. Now, listen to this now. And it's worth noting, when I was there in 2015, there was only 3 million New Zealanders, and they had a problem with their population back then. And when the miracle jabs were rolling out in Australia and New Zealand, which a lot of New Zealanders do go to Australia for work after or university, but that's a small slither of the problem. They gave it to the indigenous people of Australia, to the indigenous people of New Zealand. It's the indigenous people, whether it's in Gaza, whether it's over there in South Africa, whether it's right here in the United States with the original Americans. It's always the indigenous who are the closest to nature and the closest to the earth, the salt, the dirt they want to take out, because they know the true history of all of the world. It's in our DNA. Yes. That's why Iowa, the Sioux, the whole thing. But in this case, record amount of people are leaving New Zealand right as we speak. Oh, yes, they are. It's hollowing out. Over the past 2 years now, tens of thousands of New Zealanders have left, we think, surpassing the last spike in 2012, kind of around that time I was there. Now, record numbers of New Zealand migrants left the country through 2023 and 2024. Figures remain high, with over 69,000 leaving in just this year alone. That is huge. And it shows you just the level of corruption in New Zealand. The closer we are to Antarctica, which we're going to get to next, the higher the corruption, the more control. And let's not forget, New Zealand was patient zero of the countries to implement openly, brazenly, about how they want to have concentration camps for people they deemed to be just a little sick. Yeah, the people who are sick. And then it came out that the talking horse Jacinda Ardern, the former PM, who was literally living off a adrenochrome drip in her IV, never even took the miracle jab. She was forcing all the natives to take. That just raunchy mutant she is. Now, overall, more new migrants are still arriving in New Zealand, which is code for Chinese, then departing. But last year saw the biggest net loss of actual New Zealand citizens of any calendar year on record. Now, about 56% of New Zealand immigrants are planning to live overseas for a year or more, then head to Australia, which has been kind of the trend for well over 10 years. Now, what about the millennials or the Gen Zs? We're not sure what we call the 20-somethings now. At least I'm not. For those who are aged 20 to 29, a backpacker-style overseas experience in Australia is time-honored rite of passage. So you see a lot of that. And let me tell you, I love New Zealand. I love New Zealand a lot. I was there in Queenstown where they filmed Lord of the Rings. It's one of the most majestic places I've ever been in my life. It was incredible. Went wine tasting, the New Zealand white cheddar in the mountains. It is worth saving. And it's so majestic. New Zealand had to pass legislation that prevented outsiders, Americans, what's his name? Like people like Matt Lauer, a lot of Hollywood people who started moving to New Zealand right before 2020 because they knew it was going to happen and were buying up farmlands, just like we see Chinese coming here. And you better believe the Chinese are doing in New Zealand as well. They had to pass a law to ban that. But that is one of the most majestic and most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life. And I'm so glad I had the opportunity of going. But why are these two continents, these two countries, what is the big idea, you might ask? Well, let's talk about this now because it's Antarctica, which I believe is one of the final chapters in this pandemic war, this movie. Yes, I do. Let me tell you now, as Antarctica is now expanding ice and Brazil's bumper harvest challenge climate alarmists. Yeah, I think Brazil has their day, and they're really coming for the fourth quarter comeback here in this case here. But in the case of Antarctica, yeah, Antarctica's expanding ice in Brazil's bumper harvest challenges climate alarmism. And you'll see climate change slowly go the way of the bell bottoms as it's now happening. Well, Antarctica's ice sheet grew by 108 billion metric tons, meaning more ice, meaning giving credence to a lot of people said, no, this ain't global warming. No, the sun is fleeting far into the galaxies away from us. Hence more ice. Hence more aluminum and you know what in the air. Well, it's defying a lot of the predictions from the man-bear pig himself, Al Gore. While Brazil's record crop yields, soybeans are up 6%. Rice are up 10%, challenges forecast. Now, peer-reviewed studies show that Antarctica ice accumulation over 150 years or the cold era we were going into, the new ice age. Now, critics accuse climate activists of ignoring natural variabilities and overstating human influence of ice dynamics. Now, past alarms, they're saying, were exaggerated and or debunked, including Al Gore's models. Yes, the former husband of Tipper Gore, who's now tipping his way into the Arctic cold and frozen tundras. He's faced criticism and inflated projections that didn't match the observed data. Now, who remembers that movie of Al Gore from just about 15 years ago? Says we're all going to be underwater, living, like Kevin Costner in Waterworld. Well, he was wrong, wasn't he? He's so wrong. He deserves waterboarding for just 5 straight hours. That's how wrong he was. Now, governments, in closing, have now pushed costly net zero agendas despite evidence of ice rebound agriculture gains. Experts were all wrong. So basically, Antarctica, its ice has grown. It's growing more and more, and they don't know what the hell to do about it. They really don't. Isn't that... The irony here is just incredible, everybody. I don't even know where to start on that. Just incredible here. Here's a few other things, and in fact, I may take a look at a few questions or two on that. Two of that. I wanted to do this. You might have heard about the new Pope Leo. Pope Leo, yes, who's been watching this show for quite some time, and I cannot tell you what an honor it is to hear one of our viewers has made the papacy, as they call it. And we, big congratulations to Leo for that. But let's get to some real deal religious real quick. Well, Pope Leo laughs as he issues powerful 6-word message for Americans after J.D. Vance criticism. God, I can't wait for this one. No pun intended. Pope Leo, the 24th, has given the United States a powerful 6-word message just in the past 24 hours, you might have heard, after old social media posts were uncovered showing his critical stances on Trump's administration policies. That's right. Leo, who is a real mouthy pope for some reason, who is still in his first week as the new pope after being elected on Thursday, if you recall, was responding to a reporter who asked if they had any comments about his home country. And I believe he's a saxophone player from Chicago. Somebody proved me wrong, hopefully. Well, he comes with a message as he says, Holy Father, any message for the United States? And he responded rather, many. May God bless you all. Yeah, man. May God bless you all. The Pope shared an article criticizing Vance's comments about a hierarchy who you love in Christianity on social media. The pontiff said, as May 8th, many have speculated about his relationship with Trump after all. Well, he said the following, quote, there is a Christian concept that you love your family, and then you love your neighbor, then you love your community, then you love your fellow citizen, and then after that, prioritize the rest of the world. Vance said, if you recall, on the 29th of January, a lot of the far left have been completely inverted into that. Now, the article titled J.D. Vance is Wrong, Jesus Doesn't Ask Us to Rank Our Loves for Others was shared by the pontiff, but his 6-word message still rings true and rings bells, or maybe that's the tinnitus, is may God bless you all from Pope Leo. Is that something you say like before you like in the mob before they kill you? I must ask. Oh my gosh, I tell you. And finally, this is a really incredible story, which is going to now lead us to Real Deal Pets. Real Deal Pets, and we love them, and you know what? They love us, and we got to give them credit all the time. They're God's healers, I'll tell you that much. But this is an incredible story. We've heard some of these stories throughout time, and it never gets old, and the fascination only continues to grow. Well, I want to tell you now about an incredible cat who went missing in Yellowstone. Yeah, has now returned home after an 800-mile journey. This is incredible. Yes. A few things are scarier for many pet owners than losing their furry companion, and don't we know it? Don't we know? But that was the unfortunate reality over there in California for a couple whose cat, whose name is Rain Boy, went missing for 2 months during a trip to Yellowstone National Park, which I'm terrified of national parks. Yes, I am. When you learn about everyone who's missing, totally side story. Well, luckily, 60 days later, Benny and Susie, and Benny and the Jets as well, got a call from the animal welfare group that their cat was found in Roseville, California, after traveling more than 800 miles from where he initially went missing. And we just love our cats too. Beautiful creatures from outer space. Well, the couple was camping with their kitty cat named Rain, something they did often many times, when he was startled and ran into the woods. And this is why I'm not a big fan of July 4th and all the fireworks and what they do to our loved ones, our family members, our furry ones. Now, in the days following his disappearance, Betty and Susie searched Yellowstone for any signs of Rain Boy, even putting out his favorite treats in the hopes he would return them. No dice. Now, the couple remained hopeful they'd reunite with Rain Boy, but kind of gave up after 2 months. However, one day, a dream came true. They said that was the hardest day losing him until God's trumpets played. That's right. A dream came true when they received a message from the pet tracking service, Pet Watch, by Tom Fitton over there. It's his little side project instead of Judicial Watch. Well, he was brought to the local Society for Prevention of Cruelty of Animals over there, a wonderful organization if you don't know. Benny and Susie hope they can share the story, and it gives people encouragement to look after their loved ones, especially the furry kind, and they have been reunited ever since. Oh, just a wonderful thing. Rainboy, and Rainboy has a wonderful sibling, and maybe I'll show it to you, but that is a wonderful story. 800 miles. Can you believe it? Incredible journey. Incredible journey it is. And finally here, story that was really meant for just the other day, but I remember growing up and hearing about the controversy as we get to Real Deal Sports here. For all you guys out there, this is for you. Finally, something came just the other day. Pete Rose was reinstated. I mean, look, they put all these guys in the Hall of Fame. They did all the steroids. But how about a guy who has the most runs and is no longer here to receive this? It's about damn time. Pete Rose has officially been taken off MLB's, Major League Baseball's permanent ineligible list. The league announced just the other night. Baseball's all-time hit leader was banned in 1989, and who remembers that one? It was a huge thing after investigation revealed the longtime baseball player at that point had been placing bets on his own team, not against. And even when he was managing him, sadly, Mr. Rose died last September, which is a shame he wasn't here to receive this. But it is about time, and sometimes justice comes, and sometimes it doesn't come at all. And kind of like love. Sometimes love comes in a minute, and where did we hear that before? But just like kitty cats, too. Here's a picture of Rainboy, too. I think this would be almost appropriate to share with you. And he is back home, just so you could see proof. This is real. This happens. Miracles do happen. There he is right there. He is safe and sound. What a beauty. Or as the Aussies call it, what a beauty beaut. What a real beauty. Yeah. Real beauty. Okay, on that note, that's going to bring us to, you guessed it, it's that time to bring us to final Final thoughts here as we close a new Middle East. I'm quite hopeful that common sense is prevailing in a localization kind of manner, in a state kind of manner, but now on a global manner, where we're witnessing a world correction, and it's painful. It doesn't make sense. It might go against some of our dogmas and our own personal constitutions, but nonetheless, it never defies the law of physics, because what goes down, whether it's society, whether it's the fall of a nation of leaders, will ultimately must come back up. And when it does, we have to make sure that correction is even keeled and centered and doesn't go to another extreme, so we can feel the pendulum swing back in a very extreme way down the road. So it gives me hope to see that finally happen. And that's what it's all about, is you can't predict the future, but if there is a lesson from our grandparents, is always prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And that's what the Great Depression taught them, and now we're passing it on to all of you out there and our young ones. So anyways, on that note, I will be back tomorrow night with Real Deal Media Live. We're going to open up the lines and really get into what say you out there, because there's a lot of people with a lot to say. So for Aaron Cates and for Rainboy, the wonderful rescued kitty cat, I'm Dean Ryan saying thank you for sharing a bit of your night. Until next time, always remember to stay tuned and stay awake. Good night, everybody. It's
country's got a hold of my soul. Shooting